Hey guys, welcome to another day on the shop. Today I'm joined by my colleague, Jordan.
It's me.
It's him. So today we have a new project. You see, behind us the Camaro is out, and yeah, we've got a new project. So we're gonna bring it in here now. So. So, here is the 4G63 Legend. Actually, it kind of is. It's the non-turbo. It's missing a big turbo right there. So, these came from, I think, 98 horsepower to like 192 or something like that, depending on the model you have. You have a 1.8, and then you have a 2.0, and then you have a 2.0 turbo. You have an automatic front-wheel drive, you have a standard front-wheel drive, and then you have an automatic all-wheel drive and a standard four-wheel drive. So it is the 2.0 automatic front-wheel drive. Here it is. So let's get in here and crank this thing and kind of see what the interior looks like. All right, so we're looking at this wonderful 90s interior, because this is a 92. So
straight up 90, bro.
We have the lustrous no airbag in the steering wheel.
Mama didn't range.
No airbag in the dash. We die like men.
That's right.
These
recalibrate your boys.
These controls are all right there at your fingertips, just like a Supra.
Just like a friggin' F-18 fighter jet.
Or like a F-18 fighter jet.
Yeah, I think it's the Strike Eagle.
Let's see why this is in the shop.
I don't know why. It runs perfect. Look at that. That's the fuel economy. It doesn't keep it going constantly.
It is the fuel economy. It says economy right there. Oh, and now it shows a battery.
It doesn't keep it going because, you know, it's the environment. Yeah. Saving fuel for you.
So this is just as bad as the Camaro was with a bad carburetor. So, yeah, that's what we're going to get to do. We're going to strap these automatic seat belts on and go for a ride of rebuilding this motor. This isn't going to be fun.
It's going to be so fun.
And then we got to figure out what's actually going on. It could be just an O2 sensor, it could be just a fuel injector, it could be the fuel pump, it could be any of the sensors, but it also could be bad valves, piston rings, any of that. But the bearings sound good. It sounds good when it runs at idle, when it does idle.
It sounds like Chitara, just that perfect little
car. Let's take a look at what we got on the table. So here's the components. This is not the most expensive rebuild, it's more of a stock rebuild. So we have all this stuff laid out. All this stuff except for these, we shouldn't need these. So we got our pistons, which are standard bore, with piston rings, which are standard bore. We have a timing belt, which I'm not sure if we're going to use this one or end up ordering another one, because I'm not sure how good this one is. So I've never used D&J. Have some rod bearings, have some crank bearings, and have some cam bearings, and then a full gasket kit. So that's what we're going to do to the Plymouth LASER. So we have a whiteboard set up here with laser spelled wrong. That's supposed to be an S, not a Z, but that's how cool it is. It is spelled with a Z for effect. We're going to rebuild, get some fluids out, get some wiring off, get some axles unbolted, Engine and trans is going to come out, and then we're going to break down the engine. My penmanship is horrible. So that's what me and Mr. Jordan are going to be doing as of just a moment. Like you saw in another video, if you did watch any of my other videos, I'm going to be using these car dollies so that as we do things, we can move the car side to side, front to back, and not have to worry about the transmission or anything. So once it all comes out, we can move it around however we need it. So we're going to lift this up. We already got the hood up, as you see. We're going to pop this hood off. Then we're going to start letting all these fluids go. We're going to start with the radiator, and then we're going to get to the motor and let all the engine oil out. The trans I'm not too worried about right now, so we're going to probably just leave it unless it starts pouring everywhere, and then we'll just pour it into a bucket. But yeah, fluids are coming first, and then we're going to start looking at undoing all this wiring, either from this end or the other end, and this isn't cool enough, it looks like, to have a connector. So we're going to do it from the engine aspect and unhook anything exterior from the engine. The AC is going to stay intact, so we don't have to bleed it or refill it or anything else. So yeah, we're going to check out other things in this rebuild as of the motor mounts and things, boots and whatnot. So we're going to get to taking this here hood off. Hood's coming off. He didn't know the hood's coming off. He thought my top was coming off. By the way, I've made some new shirts. Alright, we got the hood off. Now I'm taking the battery box out, and as I'm taking the battery out, disconnecting it so we don't have any arc or anything else. Next, I'm going to be pulling the battery box and the intake, taking the intake off to get more access to the transmission and the transmission lines. Now you see me removing the lines from the transmission that go to the radiator. We are removing the entire assembly of radiator and cooler and fans, as well as starting to work on the electrical all around the engine, as well as hoses or anything else attached. Alright, so as you see, we've been getting everything off this. We dumped the radiator, pulled the radiator hoses off, undid the automatic transmission lines. I had a plug over here and a plug over here, and it just popped up and came right out.
Now we got plugged on both.
Yes. Undid the heater hoses from the block because I'm scared I'm going to break the heater core inside, and I don't want to do that because then it'll leak everywhere. We took the battery box out. I would like to take this out before I take the engine transmission out, but it doesn't look like I have to. The transmission has a little block right here with all these. I just undid that. We undid the transmission line. We undid the speedo line down there, if you can see where my finger's at. We undid all the vacuum hoses that were connected to the back wall. The cruise control, undid it from the throttle body. Took all the wiring out all the way around. It's not too bad. It's about 20 or so plugs. This plug down here is probably one of the worst. Next, I got the AC to pull off. I just pulled off the power steering pump. And once we do that, we'll move this out of the way, which is the throttle cable, and start undoing the, yeah, I guess it's an isolator. We'll start undoing the mounts, and we can look at, we're going to have to prop it up, pull the axles out, possibly. I'll have to look at that. But if we don't have to pull the axles out from the exterior part, a lot of times you'll have bolts here and you have to pull the axles out this way to disconnect them, or sometimes you can just pop them loose from interior of the engine bay. So I gotta look that up before we get to that point, but we're almost to that point already. So let's come over here to our little dry erase board. Fluids. we can kind of do this because we didn't get the oil out.
Half a clap.
Wiring, yes, we did that.
Screw you wiring.
Yes. Axles is next, and then we're pulling the trans and engine.
Trans.
So, oh yeah, we also got the exhaust. We got to get up under there and unbolt it so it comes out with the engine. Other than that, we got a few more wires. I got the alternator to deal with. Anything in front of the engine, which shouldn't be too much more. Transmission's done. So, stand by. We're gonna pump these axles and start pulling this engine. Later. All right, so we've disconnected the exhaust. We've disconnected, I don't know if I've already told y'all, the power steering. We've got the AC undone. We've got the front mount undone, the rear mount undone. Now we're going to hook up a chain to this little eyelet right here and this little eyelet right here. It's one that actually pivots, so I can make sure the weight is going good. What are you doing? It makes the motion. Anyway, everything should be unhooked. If it's not, we'll figure it out as we hoist it. The axles, didn't explain the axle situation. The axles I had to pull out from the hubs and then undo it from the transmission on each side. This one's kind of stuck right now until it's in a bad position. So we're gonna pull that one out after we get the engine out and put the tire back on. This one, we've already put the tire back on. There's the axle, and yeah, so we're gonna chain this thing up and hoist it out. What's going on now is we were having trouble trying to pull the engine out with the transmission. We learned that you have to disconnect the transmission to pull the engine easily, unless you go through the bottom of the engine compartment, which was not very easy without a lift. So we're here. Engine's out, the car's moved. Jordan's wrapping up with some super clean floor absorbent. Just a tad, it doesn't take a whole lot.
Oh, okay.
Transmission's out and taken apart from the engine. Found out taking this from the top is a lot easier without the transmission hooked to it. So, note to self, next time I do a 4G63, it's coming out through the bottom, or I'm disconnecting the transmission inside the car.
Always goes to the bottom of the trans.
He always goes to the bottom of the trans. But we're going to absorb all this oil, trans oil, what
KY
else is that? KY jelly and radiator fluid, antifreeze all over the place. We made a mess with our hands. There's right there. Right there, right there. But tomorrow we're going to get the power washer out and we're going to clean this whole entire bay out. And with that, we're also going to spray this thing down again before we start working on it. We found a couple of torn wires right here on the back of the oil pressure sensor. It was snapped off. This little doohickey up here is completely loose. So a couple things we got to look at, a couple things we got to remake and do and clean up. So this engine turns out to be better than it was, I can't say 20, 30 years ago, but
grandma car.
it will be slow once again. So
we could say better than like 20 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was.
Maybe one day we might put a modification on it somehow or another. But I'm loving these wheels. These wheels are completely one piece. They almost look like two, or I think they're two. I don't know.
I think they're two. They're just
they're stock.
A billion.
And it's awesome because they're from 1990. So.
No, might be one.
Let's see. Can't think of anything else right now, but I want to thank you for joining into an episode of the shop. This probably didn't help you. It really didn't help me too much. I learned a little bit, but I've got a lot more to learn. So, if you got here to the end, thanks a lot. Make sure you keep up with Instagram for the giveaways. Right now we're giving some super clean stuff away, not the floor absorbent, but check that out.
Oil spills.
We're giving away oil spills to try. Jordan's going to be back. We're going to get this thing cleaned up. So, thanks again. Until next time.